And now I would like to introduce and welcome on the stage the person who really knows why we are here, the program manager of Nordic Built Cities of Nordic Innovation, Kristina Mortensson.
Hello everybody, I'm so happy to see that so many have come here to Sweden to learn to know each other and create cross-border collaborations and maybe partnerships, and maybe you get friends for your life here today. Who knows? I will give you a background and set the Nordic Built Cities Challenge into a context. But before I do that, I would also like to introduce my colleague that is here today, Malin Koch-Hansen. Please rise. And both Malin and I will be around here the whole day. So if you have any specific questions, thoughts or suggestions, whatever, you can just talk with me or Malin during the whole day. Well, this is the Nordic Built Cities Challenge. It's an initiative, and it comes from the high political level of the Nordic Council of Ministers. The ministers really wanted to do something to visualize how we make our cities more sustainable, smart, and attractive in the Nordics. And they thought that a challenge, a competition, could be a very good idea to bring forward the most excellent ideas, knowledge and solutions, and also to encourage cross-border knowledge sharing and lifting up the solutions. And that is, so it's a political background to the challenge, and they also wanted to visualize the solution. Now we come back to that. You see this picture is full of logotypes. We have a Nordic steering group in the program that are from the ministerial level from around the Nordics. And today you will also learn more about 6 different competitions in the Nordic regions. And what I think when I thought about this matchmaking event is I have a lot of hopes here, and I really hope you get inspired also, and that just to meet, and that you will continue to have contact after this day today. I see this as a kind of a start or something very interesting. Nordic Innovation, something short about us. We are a Nordic institution under the Nordic Council of Ministers. And what we do on everyday basis is just that we are encouraged and facilitate cross-border collaboration between businesses and people in order to create increased value, to make people to find each other, new partners, and meet across the border. So cross-border is sort of the word that I say all the days, cross-border, cross-border. So that's what we do. And the Nordic Built Cities, the whole program is as I said before, a Nordic initiative, and what it's all about in the whole program and also in the challenge is to develop and visualize, to showcase, put forward new solutions for sustainable, smart and livable cities. And those words, sustainable, smart and livable cities, they are very broad, and it's a very, very broad competition. And when you look closer to these 6 competitions, different competitions, you will see that they encompass a lot of professionals and skills that we have to use to make our cities more sustainable. And in this word smart, it's also about IT solutions. So it's a very broad spectrum of skills, I think, that is needed in the 6 different competitions. What we do in the whole program, we have this challenge, that is something that we are focused on now today, but we also have a part of the program that is about export and showcasing solutions from the Nordics internationally. And this is something that we already is working with when it comes to sustainable solutions in houses. We have an initiative that is called Nordic Bult that is about sustainable houses, and we can see when we go around the world, and we was in Paris for 3 weeks ago and displayed 30 excellent Nordic sustainable houses, that the interest was so huge that we wasn't really expecting that, but and that is the same thing that we will do now with the outcome, the results, the solutions that will come out of this competition will also be displayed internationally, and Nordic Innovation will be doing that together with the Nordic Council of Ministers. I will come back to that later today also. So it's a lot about, for us, it's a lot about the Nordic identity, and this was also something that we have worked with before when we looked closer to the houses. We have a short charter which is a part of the Nordic identity in the building sector, and it was brought forward, and this is a result of work of the Nordic building sector, and this is the main criteria for the challenge also. So when you can find these 10 principles laying outside on the tables, so you can pick them, and you can also find the charter on our webpage, of course, you can look at them. It's sort of a kind of a DNA thing, or an identity in the whole competition, and also in the 6 different. And we also seen in practice that these 10 principles can act as a platform across when you work across borders, something to gather around and talk about and learn and develop further. Yes. It's a lot about people, it's about sustainability, but also about making the cities an interesting place for businesses to thrive in also. Yeah, so we have 6 different competitions, and you will hear more very soon about them and their challenges and the details and about them. And in these 6 competitions, there will be up to 4 finalists. Each finalist team will receive 300,000 Norwegian crowns. Then we have the Nordic level, and that is a prize at the Nordic level that I call the Nordic Built Cities Challenge Award, very long, but and there we have. And that level, that prize level is for the finalist teams. So if you go through the competitions and end up in a finalist teams, you are automatically could look closer to these Nordic prizes. And we have at the Nordic level, everything is also on the web page about this, the details, the exact criteria. But we have at the Nordic level, we have 3 criteria groups. It's a charter, as I said before. These 10 principles is a judgment criteria at the Nordic level. And we also look upon the innovativeness of the finalist solutions. And we also look at the development and export potential of the finalist solutions. At the Nordic level, we have 3 prizes, main prizes. And when we look at the Nordic prize level, we, as I said before, really encourage cross-border collaboration. So in order to compete for the Nordic prizes, the finalist team has to be Nordic. And then I think you all wonder, yeah, but what does she mean with Nordic teams? And you have to demonstrate that you have collaborated across one Nordic border. So it's Nordic finalist teams that could compete on the Nordic level. What we also have because I mean it's not maybe so simple to get the contact across border. The building sector is very national and it's very local. So then we have team awards. So if you really try to get a new partnership and that makes your solution even more better, you can get 40,000 award for displaying cross-border collaboration, even though you don't get the first 3 prizes. And also because something that I see in common in all the 6 competitions of the cities is that the cities are looking for innovative solutions. They want to have sort of unusual suspects. They are looking for ideas that comes from students, that comes from artists, social entrepreneurs, startup companies. And because of that, we also have a team award of 20,000 Norwegian crowns for teams that have a team member that is sort of a wild card or unusual suspect that have contributed to the solution. So what is wanted? This is what I want, and what I would like to see, of course, innovative solutions. We're looking for front runners, new thinking, wild cards, work together, find new contacts. So that was again what I look forward. And please, if you have any questions about the Nordic level and the Nordic awards, you could just talk with me or Molly. We will be here. And I also would like to introduce to you the persons that you will hear more later from the Nordic jury that will judge at the Nordic level. They are sitting here in front of me. We have Larry Beasley and Gisela Schultz-Dent and Anna Maria Bogadottir. And where is Peter? There is Peter. And so they will be around here today also, and they will talk more later, and you will get their views about this and thinking about this competition and why they are in the Nordic jury and so on later. So that was the context. I hope it makes things a bit clearer. And another thing about this, what we are doing now with this Nordic Build Cities Challenge has never been done before. This is something super new. We have 6 Nordic cities that are so engaged in this, and they really are looking for the solutions. And doing this, working with developing sustainable city solutions on the Nordic level has, as far as I know, never been done in history before. So this is a historical moment. And I'm happy that you are taking part of it. And I also would like you to know that this conference thing, where you registered, this is already a network. And it will still be there when you leave here. And we could use it and we could grow it in order to get good context during the whole competition. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristina, very much. And now everything is crystal clear, right? But if you still have a few questions, you can go to Conferise and leave the questions for the questions and answers session later today. So please go to Conferise and leave already questions so they will have the answers ready for the challenge owners. Also, you can leave questions for the panelists of later today. When you go and put the questions in Conferise, choose the right challenge where you want to, what your question is about. And then also one important technical information. We are recording all the important key sessions of today and sharing it with you and also people who couldn't make it today. So just to let you know, and there's photographers around as well. So wait for your pics later on. But next, to the kind of beef of the day, the 6 intriguing challenges will be open to us. And we're going to travel around Nordics a little.
Exactly. Hello, my name is Roope Mokka. I'm from Demos Helsinki, the Nordic think tank that is Outi, my colleague, and we're together with you communicate, facilitating and making sure everything goes super well today. So now what's going to happen is that we're going to dive deep into the challenges. We're going to visit these places, spend the next half an hour in doing that. And we'll start with the globe. And since we're going to Iceland.
So we're going to the beautiful peninsula in Kopavogur, where there's Kársnes Harbour that needs some connection. Please, Iceland. I feel like a Eurovision presenter. Please, Iceland, take the stage.
See how many points you get.
Congratulations on this Nordic innovation. I really like this platform. Being the first beef of the day is really also a privilege. We are introducing to you a project in Reykjavik, Iceland, which is actually Kópavogur. We call it often the capital area of Reykjavik, but the fact is Kópavogur is the second largest municipality in Iceland, a growing municipality, similar to Espoo and Helsinki in a way, Berum, Oslo, very close by close relationships, but we still have opportunities there that we would like to explore. You will see at the top corner there, the Reykjavik downtown area. You will see the red dotted area being the peninsula that we are focusing on now. So basically we are looking into ways to connect this area to the whole capital area, which we believe has huge potentials, and I'll show you better what we have in mind there. The fact is, at least with the area where we have the harbour in the Reykjavik district, it's full of life. It's amazing. We're of course seeing now 20–25% increase in tourism on a yearly basis in Reykjavik and in Iceland, and we're seeing lots of dynamism with both cultural events, lots of companies brought back into the harbour area, so there's tech companies there. So there's this life that we feel also is very attractive for the whole region. Where we are coming from, it's a little dullish now, and that's why we are here. That's why this is actually kind of a beautiful group, so I'm really excited about this. I think what we need to do is to get you inspired by this project and hoping to bring you into it. The fact is, we need more life. We need more connectivity. We need to show how we can actually connect this area with the capital area, and we have other options there with connections. But we also believe that connection is just not one way. It needs to be both ways. So there needs to be there also something that is attractive. We want sustainable community, livable community, but we want the whole community to be a part of something. This is not a train station. This is not just connection for the connection's sake. We want more. So that's the challenge here. So the root of the problem is that Kársnes is in a way isolated at the end of a peninsula, yet centrally located in the capital area. At the same time, as a consequence, improved connectivity is particularly important for this site, with potential benefits to the entire capital area. The challenge is therefore to find means to enhance the connectivity of our Kársnes and the capital region that make Kársnes a dynamic and sustainable urban area. That is basically the challenge that we have today, is to do these connections. We will also just make sure that you realize that the whole area is not that big. We have in the area number 1 is basically where Kársnes is. The other dots show some of the major institutions in Iceland. Number 13, for instance, is the Reykjavik University, a very dynamic university, very close by. So the connection over to that area may make a huge difference for the for the university and the academic life. We're also seeing, as I told you, the harbour in the Reykjavik area being very close by as well. It's actually filled. It's filled with whale watching boats, some whale catching boats as well. Amazing family of whaling. We have also in the area the largest hospitals, and we actually have the presidential residence in number 8. So a connection over to that area, which is a green, beautiful area, would be an idea that could be explored further. So what we are looking at this area from the site now, looking to the residential area of the residential place of the President of Iceland, and looking back into from the peninsula into the to the Kópavogur region. You will find also small boats in this area. This is a great recreational area, but the whole area that you're seeing here is obviously something that needs to be explored further. And what we feel is sort of what we're looking for now is we want the quality of life for the people of Kársnes, for the whole community of Kópavogur. We want the connectivity to be there, and we want the environment to be in the forefront there, having a sustainable area which is using modern methods in transportation, etc. So with our sort of humble approach, we're actually asking for thought leaders to take part in this project. We're looking for people that are real agents of change, that want to make a difference here. And we're looking at an area that has huge potential, huge opportunities for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. So next we'll move from Iceland to another location that is very particular to the closeness of sea, and that's the Faroe Islands. And in there, we'll be looking at not the capital area, but something quite close to that, Runavík. So what do you think makes Runavík exciting?
Well, it's a city that is changing, development. We are the third largest municipality in the Faroe Islands, and we have 18 towns, and where our competition area is located in the main area. Yeah. As you can see here, this is the main area of the municipality of Runavík, and the competition area is placed on this hillside here. In general, we have a problem building the houses. We don't have a problem, but the traditional way of building the houses is not efficient enough. So we want a more innovative solution that will some kind of streamline the area, so it will be more efficient. Yeah, as I mentioned before, the solution we want is innovative and sustainable, so we can build family homes on a steep terrain. Yeah, this is the same. Yeah, this picture to the left. This is the red marked area. This is competition area. You can see that it's close by to everything in the capital, in the city. You can say that we have the traditional way of housing both to the north and to the east. And if you look at the picture to the right, we have pictures from the spot. This is this is the north side, and this is the south side. You can see that at the bottom of the competition we have a bit. Not that steep slope, but the further up you come, the steeper it gets. Yeah, this is some kind of mode pictures we have here. This in the top left corner we have the view of the Skálafjörð, and to the right here we have the view south, where we can see the sports area, and we can see the Lake Toftavatn here. And this is. To the bottom right, we have a view of the city itself and the harbor area. So in the Faroe Island, we appreciate a lot the view, so it's important that the view is prioritized as well. Yeah, as mentioned before, the traditional way of housing is we do a big incision in the landscape, and thereby it will be more inefficient, and we want some kind of innovative solution that will reduce that incision, so that will benefit not just the area, but also the environment. Yeah, and a consequence of that will hopefully be a more density population on that area, because as it is right now, we use a lot of area for just one single house, and then we want to optimize that.
This is how we build today. One family gets a lot of 600 square meters and builds their own house. In order to reach the house, they have to have a road. And as you can see on the aerial photo, we have a lot of roads and a very low population density. Fortunately, we have started to build differently. We now have a few apartments and row houses. And for this example, the total area is 160 square meter area per family. And we have a lot less road and a lot less maintenance. This is definitely what not to do. This is from the 1970s. We have road in the middle. We have one house way above and one house way below. And today, this has changed by the house below makes an infillment to get closer to the road, and the house above makes an incision into the land. So it's still not a good solution. And we want to change this. We want the solution to be innovative and sustainable in order to get a higher population density and a sustainable solution by having a lower CO2 emission from transportation and from building. We need to maintain the high living standard in order for people to accept a new solution, and we want an effective area use so that we have less road and less CO2 transmission from transportation. We'd like to see a Nordic style architecture, and we would like the landscape design to preserve the nature and have it as close as possible to the buildings, and have a common area for urban farming, such as a potato field. We'd like to see solutions for self-sufficiency, both in heating and electricity. Today, each house has their own heating arrangement with a furnace or a green solution like earth heat, and everybody gets their electricity from the national electricity company. We'd like to see how this can be changed into a self-sufficient solution. Sorry, was this slide not on right now? Okay. Yes. This is where we want to be heading. These inspirational photos with a new approach. Maybe we can have cantilever houses in Runavík or buildings in columns. The sheep will still be grazing on the hillside above the development area, and we have the bird life close by. Maybe we can make rain, water, and an acid instead of a nausea as it is today. But the solution still has to take into account the nature's fury that we have in the winter time. As you can see on those photos, we have the waves that will be crashing into the land, and the wind can make the water run uphill. So we're searching for an innovative, sustainable solution where urban meets nature.
Thank you so much, Runavík. I think this is one of the most global of the challenges as the population of the world grows and the climate change advances. More and more people will be living in very steep grounds. But let's see where we travel from Runavík. We're taking to Norway, Oslo, and there to a place called, let's see, where we end up to. We end up to revitalise plus that needs some rethinking. Welcome, Eileen.
My name is Eili Vigestadberget. I work for the city of Oslo. Oslo is a growing city. It's growing very rapidly right now. Actually, it's the fastest growing capital of Europe. So we think it's really exciting times in Oslo. But it's also a time where we need to be innovative. We need to create good solutions to manage our urban growth. In addition, Oslo has set very ambitious goals when it comes to sustainability. By 2030, we are to reduce our carbon gas emissions by 50%. So we are to grow simultaneously as we are reducing our CO2 emissions. And this is really the root of our challenge in this competition. So this gives us 2 action points that our competition revolves around. As the population is growing, land is becoming more valuable. More people need to fit into the same size of space. And in a consequence of that, our city needs to be built in a more dense way. And with this, the quality of public spaces become much more important. So we are in our challenge looking for good solutions to how public spaces is designed so that it promotes quality of life for the people living in this area. The second point that is important in our competition is the transport sector. The transport sector is responsible for the highest level of CO2 emissions in our city. It's politically decided in Oslo that all increase in traveling is to be done by walking, bicycling and public transport. So our challenge in the city is, how is this change going to happen? How are we going to move people from the comfortable private car into more green transport modes? Transport is not only important when it comes to CO2 emission, though. It's also essential for the city in a growing period when it comes to efficiency and health of the city. People do need to travel from one place to the other, and they want to do it in an efficient and comfortable and reliable way. We believe that part of answering this challenge for the city is to develop really well-designed transport hubs that make public transport the most efficient, comfortable, and reliable and safe way of traveling. The city government of Oslo has recently approved a new municipal plan, development plan, and it states strategies for Oslo towards 2030. And one of the most important strategies of this plan is to build a denser city around prioritized transport hubs. And one of these transport hubs is Furuset, and that is our area here. So it's in the northeast of the city. So this takes us to the site of our competition. This is Furuset. It's a suburb of Oslo. It was built in the 70s. And revitalise Plus is currently looking like this. It's surrounded by a metro stop here. It has 1 bus every minute passing through here. You see a shopping center here. There's a hockey stadium here. And then you see a lot of apartment buildings. And over here you have more detached houses and single-family houses. So Furuset's population is highly international. About 140 nationalities are represented here. With a new zoning plan that is just developed, the most important elements of this plan is a blue-green axis going from a park here through the area up here. We want a blue-green axis this way, and we want an urban axis to be developed this way. So in where these 2 axes meet, you will find revitalise Plus. What meets you today is this. It's the most central part of this area in Oslo, but it's an area prioritized for the car. It's reserved for the car, basically. This is taken at a very gray part of the year, which I think any office, like public space, would look a bit dull. So I have another picture for you as well, but you can see that my point here about the car being prioritized is it's very visual. We think that this space could be used for something better. We want to make this square a square where we can actually see that we're making a shift from the car to green transportation. We want this square to show solutions of how Green's transport hub can foster green mobility. So we're taking a step from the car to green mobility. We want this square to prioritize the bike. We want to show how we can find solutions that are seamless from the bike to the metro, for example, and that helps you travel in a comfortable and efficient and environmentally friendly way. So our challenge is, in a time of growth, how to revitalize transport hubs to foster green mobility and create well-designed civic spaces. And to solve this challenge, you have to answer 3 tasks in our competition. We want an attractive square with a design that is welcoming, appealing, and resilient. Secondly, we want you to answer, how do you make an attractive green transport hub? A hub that helps us facilitate the necessary shift of people's mobility patterns. And just to be clear, when I'm talking about green mobility, we're talking about all kinds of transportation modes with low degree of CO2 emissions. It's of course walking, and it's biking, and it's public transport, but we want you to elaborate more on these more innovative solutions. Electrical buses, L-bike sharing, for example, bikes where you can rent to take your groceries home from the store. We want you to look into innovative solutions. And thirdly, our space is to be an attractive civic space. We want this square, Trygvelis Plus, to be a square where things are happening, where social interaction takes place, and where people want to be. And Trygvelis Plus is not the only transport hub in Oslo. This is a project with high degree of transferability. It's part of our strategic plan for the development of Oslo. So we are looking for good solutions that can be transferred to other places in our city. So what we're doing here will have great impact on how we take our city further. So what we're envisioning is something like this. Just a few key words. We want a place where people can relax, where people can play and interact, a place that's welcoming for all, and also a place that strengthens the resilience of the local businesses here represented by a farmer's market. And we want a place that prioritizes the bike, providing great facilities for bicycles. Also, we want a square that merges the urban qualities with the blue and the green qualities. We want a square that has totally removed the car and a place where you can enjoy a coffee. To sum up, we're looking for a design of our square that includes smart and innovative solutions to promote green mobility. And green represents both CO2 reduction, but also in actual appearance. And it takes us over to the urban. Whoever wins our challenge will have to show a square that is an excellent example of how a public space is a provider of quality of life in a denser and more highly populated Oslo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Heidi. Oslo is really having high hopes on you. There is quite a few challenges, so I like this. This is very ambitious. Let's see where we go next. From Oslo to quite nearby Copenhagen, Denmark. There's one street and a park that have a lot of potential but need some serious rethinking. Eva, tell us more.
Hello, everybody. Am I coming through the mic?
No? No, that was better. Good. Hello, I'm here to tell you about the Danish challenge, which is taking place in Copenhagen, a part of Copenhagen called Nørrebro. And those of you who have been in Copenhagen knows maybe the city center, Nørreport station, Strøget, and Nørrebro, the location of the competition, is very close. So the challenge for the Danish competition is to develop smart climate adaptation solutions for the dense city being Nørrebro, Copenhagen, and at the same time pushing forward cultural synergy and local community livability. But what does that mean? That means that Copenhagen is facing a lot of cloudburst. We know rainwater will be coming, and we got to do something about it. Something that prevents the water from running into our domestic basements and to lead the rainwater into the park instead. And at the same time to add some value to the urban city space, something that adds value for the local livability. So a look at the competition side, a quite huge competition side, 1 kilometer narrow area. This is a park. Here we will have to contain approximately 18,000 cubic meter rainwater, and we're going to lead it all the way down to the city lake. We are facing a park, a very nice park, green, beautiful, and loved by the local community for its urban, open air, and nature-like qualities. It's a perfect spot to take your children to play. It's also spacious enough to have a picnic or a game of frisbee or whatever. And there are playgrounds, old trees, and statues, and it's a very popular park, very much cared for by the local community. Then we are facing a schoolyard. This is a nice picture. You can see there are green trees. But if you're there, you will find that it's also somehow poorly used, also very challenged by a busy biking lane dividing the school buildings, so that it's not really a place of comfort for the children to play in. And it lacks activity and learning opportunities for the pupils. And then we are dealing with a street, the street that's going to lead all the rainwater down to the city lake. It's kind of narrow, it's kind of empty and a bit dark. The major problem is, though, that the traffic is poorly managed, so it's a dangerous route for children to go to school. Also, it has the potential. You can see the stunning view of the local church, and you can actually see all the way from the church down to the city lake. So the root problem here is that Nørrebro is lacking rainwater solutions, traffic management is poor, and there's a lack of synergy between school, park, and community. The consequence of this is that basements are regularly flooded, School Street is dangerous, and the community power is lost. So what are we looking for? We're looking for green solutions, creative solutions, like planting a forest inside a schoolyard. We're looking for activity spaces where pupils, families, and community can meet and join in shared activities, play, and learning. We're looking for rainwater solutions tailor-made for the existing qualities of the park and street area, and rainwater solutions that adds something to the environment by treating rainwater as a human resource, harvesting rainwater, using it to something, maybe activities, play, or making the space look even better. In short words, urban space for everyday life, and rainwater solutions above the ground. Thank you.
Excellent. Exciting. A very exciting site, and then we're going just across the pond to the other side of what is now connected with this magnificent bridge to Malmö, and there, quite near the city center, is Sege Park.
Yes, and thank you and welcome to this conference today. We are very keen on searching for your solution and your ideas. And the area is the former city, the former hospital area in Sege Park. And in the center you have the 250 square meter big park. That is a big solution that you can think about. We will develop this area with more dwellings, and we are searching for affordable and climate smart living ideas. And please help us make Sege Park to a front runner in a sustainable urban development. And the root problem is that surface and other resources are not used in an optimal way, hindering a sustainable and comfortable lifestyle. And as a consensus of this, the CO2 load from living is too high, and the house is too expensive. And we would like to have a climate-smart lifestyle, increasing well-being and affordable living, and sharing resources. And the sharing resources is something that you could think about. A smart solution and a smart city is also that we want to have in the sustainable Sege Park. And this is what we are thinking about. Something that has the green in it, dwellings that are very new to the thinking of how we can use the materials that we built them from. And we also have the old hospital that will be, in some part, we will keep the buildings, and then we will add new buildings to this area. And in the former part of the Sege Park, some will be Malmö City will keep some of the buildings, and the other one will be to the private investors. Thank you very much. And on the 16th of November, we have our site visit. So if you have time, please come and see us. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So, it needs to be smart and affordable. I'm sure if someone gets solutions there, they will have worldwide demand. So then we're going to the last, but in my opinion, I might be a bit balanced because I'm from Finland, the most interesting site, which is not in Helsinki, but next to Helsinki is the second biggest town in Finland, Espoo, and there Kera through fillet of the neighbourhood.
Hello everybody, I'm Raja from Kera Challenge. How does this work? Okay. Which is circular economy solutions supporting Kera's area's transformation from an industrial area to a 20-minute neighborhood. Here is the picture of the challenge we have. This is the logistics center of S Group, which is, by the way, the biggest retail and grocery company in Finland. Our logistics center is moving out from here during the next few years, and this huge mass of buildings is going to be empty after that. By the way, the name of Kera comes from this ceramic factory which used to be there in the 1930s. The site, which is 22 hectares large, is located right by the Kera station, only 20 minutes train ride from Helsinki downtown. And it certainly is a place for urban development. And here's the challenge again, and here is the keyword, transformation.
and the root problem is demolishing or reusing current industrial buildings or related waste materials is very challenging. And as a consequence, most areas are not attractive or livable until the construction process is finished. And the process can take like 10 to 20 years. As a conclusion, we wish to have circular economic solutions for the buildings and for the waste material from them. And we wish to have smart, maybe mobile solutions for the services in order to get the livable 20 minutes neighbourhood in Kera from the very beginning after the logistics operations have moved away. Here are some examples for the temporary use. There is container cafes, container restaurants, container shops, or even apartments, maybe art, walls for art, until we get the final vision which we want from Kera. And in summary, the ideas we are waiting for should be smart, livable and sustainable.